Hi, this is Amelia again with Lily of the Field, Flagstaff Native Plant Nursery. So today I wanted to go over some terminology that can be a little intimidating, but is really important to know if you are going to be growing fruiting shrubs and trees especially, but it can also be useful for gardening veggies annuals also. So those phrases have to do with how flowers develop on plants and then how they're pollinated. So the first terms I'm going to go over are perfect and imperfect flowers. And I think these are really not very good ways to describe flowers because in my mind flowers are just perfect regardless. But the meaning behind that is that if a flower is a perfect flower, then it has the male and the female parts on the same flower. If it's an imperfect flower, then it has male parts on one flower and female parts on another, which segues into the next two terms that are important to know, which are monoecious and dioecious. So if you have an imperfect flower, then you're going to need to make sure that you have access to both the male and the female flower parts. So monoecious means one house, which means that you have the male and the female flowers on the same plant, so like living under one house. So you have all of the parts available. Dioecious means that you're going to have female flowers on one plant and male flowers on another. So basically the plants have sexes. You have male plants and female plants, and you'll need to get one of each. Those are really tricky because it's difficult to make sure that when you're growing a plant from seed, that you're going to have both male and female plants. So if you have plants that have perfect flowers, or if you have plants that are monoecious, so you have male and female flowers on the same plant, you can run into an issue that is the next term, self-incompatibility. So that happens when you have plants that will not pollinate themselves. So that's not terribly common, but it is an issue. Something that's a good example of that is going to be something like apple trees, where you have the flowers that have the male and the female parts, but they cannot pollinate themselves. So they require a second apple tree in order to cross-pollinate them and produce fruit. So when you are buying any sort of fruiting plant or you're going to grow some yourself, then it's really important to understand these terms so that you don't end up with an issue where you put in a large amount of time caring for a plant or multiple plants, and then you're not getting a harvest from them. Either because you have plants that have all of the parts available, all the male and female parts, but they're not able to cross-pollinate with one another for self-incompatibility reasons, or you have only one sex of plant, and so you're not ending up with fruit as a result of that. There are ways of kind of correcting these issues. So say you put a large amount of time into growing a specific plant and then you find that it is self-incompatible or you don't have both sexual parts in order to produce fruit. You can look into grafting onto that plant to complete, to provide all the gametes, all the male and female reproductive parts in order to actually get a harvest, which is the goal.